I'm Riley, and let me share with you a Thanksgiving I'll always remember. My family crafted a falsehood to keep me away from the dinner table, leaving me as the sole outcast. They gathered around, chuckling, raising glasses, pretending I didn't even matter. Why? Because I'm merely a senior care worker at a nursing home. But here's the twist that stings. I was the one funding my sister's college education. The very sister who couldn't bear to recognize me, part of the same family that happily accepted my money but refused me a seat at their feast. So I made a choice, one that would shift everything. My phone buzzed just as I stepped out of the break room after my final shift that day. My mom's name glowed on the screen and I grinned, expecting her usual debate over pecan or pumpkin pie. But when I picked up, her tone sent a shiver through me. Riley, honey, I need to talk to you about Thanksgiving. Something felt wrong. Her usual edge softened into uncertainty. What's happening, Mom? I asked, crossing the parking lot. A beat of silence followed. We think it's better if you don't come this year. I stopped dead, car keys swinging in my hand. What? We always do Thanksgiving together. She let out a rehearsed sigh, the kind she used before spouting nonsense. It's going to be more formal this time. Hannah's boyfriend is bringing his parents and, well, we thought it should just be close family. My jaw tightened. I am close family. Of course you are, sweetheart, she rushed out, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. It's just, you know how it is. His family is very prominent. This matters for Hannah. The words landed like a blow to my stomach. So, because I care for the elderly, I'm not fit to sit at your table? Riley, don't turn this into something about you, she said. I let out a dry, bitter laugh. Oh, I get it. It's not about me. It's about ensuring Hannah isn't humiliated by her sister in a nurse's uniform. Silence. That was all the confirmation I needed. It's just one meal, she offered weakly. We'll grab brunch next weekend. I ended the call. My chest felt constricted as I stood in the chilly evening air. One meal. After all the tuition checks, the support, the late-night emergency cash I'd sent. Now I wasn't worthy. I trudged to my car, the nursing home's flickering neon sign glowing dimly in the Asheville dusk. The wind cut through my jacket, but a quiet rage burned inside me. Later that night, my cousin Natalie texted me, I overheard your mom and Hannah. She didn't want you there because she didn't want her boyfriend's parents thinking we're working class. My hands shook as I read it. My sister, the one I'd carried through every semester, was ashamed of me. Looking back, the clues were always there. She never asked me to her school events, sidestepped talk about my job, never introduced me to her boyfriend. I made excuses, convinced myself I was overthinking. But this time the truth was undeniable. Thanksgiving arrived, and for the first time ever I spent it alone. I drove aimlessly, stopped at a coffee shop, called a few friends. Nothing eased the hollow ache. That night I made the mistake of checking social media. There they were, perfect smiles, silk dresses, a gleaming table, her polished boyfriend and his parents. Me. Wiped from the picture. The next morning I woke with clarity, not calm. I brewed coffee, sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop and logged into Hannah's college portal. Balance: $21,500. I lingered over remove payment method. Are you sure? The system prompted. I clicked yes without hesitation, shut the laptop, grabbed my coffee and stepped onto the porch. I stood in the morning chill, then settled under a blanket with the newspaper. 10 minutes later my phone rang. I ignored it. Second call. Third. On the fourth I sighed and answered. Riley, she snapped, already in battle mode. What are you doing? I sipped my coffee. Good morning to you too. Don't play coy. Hannah just called, hysterical. You cut off her tuition. Tell me that's not true. It is, I said evenly. Silence, then a sharp inhale. How could you be so heartless? I laughed. Heartless is a funny word, considering she excluded me from dinner over my job. She just wanted to impress them, Mom said, shifting to her guilt-trip voice. She's young. She didn't think. She's 24, Mom. Old enough to know what she's doing. Another pause, then the classic line, "You promised to support her through college." I gripped my mug harder. "No, Mom, I promised to help my sister, not someone who acts like I'm trash." She didn't mean it that way. She meant it exactly that way. Mom huffed in frustration. "You're blowing this out of proportion. Family sacrifices for each other. That's what we do." I swallowed a bitter laugh. Funny how family only counts when I'm the one giving. But when I ask for basic respect, I'm asking too much. "She needs this, Riley." So did I. Mom fell silent. No quick retort, no scripted plea about Hannah's future resting on me. I let the quiet stretch before speaking again, voice steady. "I'm done, Mom. I mean it. Years of paying her way, covering her costs, making sure she never worried. And the one time I needed her to see me, she erased me instead." Mom exhaled sharply. "You're so dramatic." "I think we're finished here," I said, brushing off the pang in my chest. "Riley, wait." I hung up. My heart thudded in my ears. I'd done it. I should have felt guilt, and maybe a tiny piece of me did, buried under years of resentment. But what rose instead was something close to satisfaction. I sat in the soft light of my living room, the city's hum barely seeping through the windows. My coffee had gone cold, but I didn't move. My mind untangled years of memories, puzzle pieces I'd ignored. Hannah had been ashamed of me for ages. I just didn't want to see it. Last Christmas she hosted a party for her law school friends. I only found out via a random Instagram post. Her caption, "Celebrating success with the best people." I wasn't invited. When I asked, she waved it off as, "No big deal." I let it slide. Then there was the time I visited her campus on a work trip, offering dinner. She spotted me near her dorm, glanced around nervously and mumbled about a study group. And the introductions, God, never, "This is my sister, Riley," just a vague, "This is family," like I was a shadow to nod at. I told myself she was busy, young. But no, she'd always been embarrassed by me. And the worst part? I'd let it happen. I gave endlessly, thinking that's what family was. But family shouldn't have terms. Love shouldn't come with a rulebook. I glanced at my laptop, fingers hovering. Logging into the university portal, checking deadlines, confirming payments. It was second nature. But this time the screen felt different. Next semester. $21,500 due in 2 weeks. My stomach churned. How many night shifts had I worked for that? How many trips had I skipped? How often had I put her first? For what? So she could pretend I didn't exist. Not this time. I called the school's financial office. After 2 rings, a woman answered. "How can I help you?" "I need to remove myself as the payer on an account," I said. "Are you sure? This will affect the student's enrollment." I closed my eyes and breathed out. I've been sure about the wrong things for years. This I'm sure of. It took less than 5 minutes. Some questions, a final confirmation. Done. I set the phone down, waiting for guilt. It didn't come. Instead, relief washed over me, quiet, unfamiliar, but real. For the first time in years, I wasn't shouldering someone else's load. But I knew this was just the start. When Hannah found out, she'd unravel. The first call came within 24 hours. I was mid-coffee when my phone buzzed. I didn't need to check the name, Hannah. I let it ring, then again and again. I clutched my mug tighter. I wasn't ready. No, I didn't owe her this. The ringing stopped. Voicemail. Against my better sense, I listened. "Riley, what the hell? I just got an email from school. My payments declined. This has to be a mistake. Call me back." Her voice was sharp, frantic. I sipped my coffee and let her stew. Another call, then a text. "If you don't fix this, I can't enroll. You can't do this to me." I typed, "Not my problem," but deleted it. What was the point? She'd never grasp what I'd given, she only saw what she'd lost. I silenced my phone, knowing what came next. Hannah wouldn't take silence lying down. She went to Mason, hair wild, eyes blazing. She burst into his place before he could fully open the door, pacing. "I can't believe this," she said. "Riley cut me off. No warning, no reason." Mason shut the door, puzzled. "Wait, Riley? Your sister?" "Yes," she snapped. "I got the email. I tried calling. She won't answer." He sat down. "Hold on. I thought your parents were paying." Hannah froze, scriptless for once. She'd never told him I was funding her. "Well, they help, but Riley covered most of it," she mumbled, looking away. Mason's brow creased. "Most? How much?" She laughed nervously. "I don't know, a few payments." "Hannah," he said firmly. "How much?" He swallowed. "All of it." "So let me get this straight," Mason said, staring at her like she'd sprouted horns. "Your sister's been paying your full tuition, and you let me think it was your parents this whole time?" Hannah waved it off like crumbs off a table. "It's not a big deal," Mason cut her off. "And Riley wasn't even invited to Thanksgiving, right? What was that about?" Her face flushed. "That was different." "How?" he pressed. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. That's when Mason pieced it together. The sister who'd bankrolled her future wasn't welcome when his parents visited. His voice stayed calm, but it carried a chill. Hannah scrambled. "You don't understand, Mason. It was about appearances, making a good impression. I'm grateful for Riley, but she doesn't fit the world I'm aiming for." Mason took a slow breath, shaking his head. "You mean the world where you hide your roots? Where the people who lift you up aren't good enough to mention?" Her throat tightened. "I," was all she could muster before Mason stood, grabbing his keys. "Wait, where are you going?" she asked, blinking. He looked at her, truly seeing her for the first time. "I need space." Her stomach sank. "You're mad over this?" He didn't reply, just left. And Hannah realized she might have lost more than money. That night she texted me one last time. "I hope you're happy. You ruined my life." I stared at the screen, waiting for guilt. It didn't come. I set the phone down and sipped my coffee. If she thought I'd ruined her life, she was about to learn she'd been doing that herself all along. The next call wasn't from Hannah. It was Mom. Her name flashed like a caution sign. Elaine Whitaker. I could already hear her soft, disappointed tone, the long sigh, the unspoken blame that I'd let the family down. I let it ring twice before answering. "Riley," she said sharply. "I just spoke to Hannah. She's falling apart." I leaned against the kitchen counter, gripping my mug. Maybe she should have thought of that before acting like I didn't exist. "Riley," she chided, slipping into her soothing mother voice. "She's your sister. You can't abandon her like this." I exhaled slowly, steadying myself. "I didn't abandon her. I stopped funding her life. She's still breathing. She's just a kid. She's 24, Mom. She doesn't know how to handle this." And there it was, the real reason for the call. Not to check on me, not to apologize, but to fix Hannah's mess. Once again I was the cleanup crew. I stayed quiet, waiting. "Riley, please." Mom softened, sensing resistance. "You know how hard she's worked to get here." I swallowed the bitterness clawing up my throat. And where was she when I was pulling double shifts so she wouldn't need loans? Where was she when you told me to skip dinner because she was ashamed of me? Mom sighed, long and weary, like I was the burden. "You're making this bigger than it is." I nearly dropped my mug. "Are you serious, Mom? She's been erasing me for years. She only cares now because the money's gone. She's still family." "Funny how family only flows one way in this house," I said, pacing the kitchen. "I paid her tuition, kept a roof over her head, gave her a future. And she couldn't spare me a seat at the table. She's scared. She's selfish. And I'm done fixing her messes." Silence stretched thin before Mom asked, her voice edged with forced calm. "So what? You expect her to drop out?" "Not my problem," I replied, flat and final. "Riley, find someone else to write the checks." Like who? She snapped. You know your dad and I can't cover it. There it was. The truth beneath the guilt trips and soft pleas. She didn't expect Hannah to solve it, she expected me to fold like always. Then I guess Hannah's about to learn how the rest of us get by, I said, hitting end call. The next few hours were eerily still. Then the messages rolled in. Dad, Riley, this is too far. You're hurting your own blood. Aunt Lynn, I never thought you'd be this cold. Uncle Greg, it's just money, Riley. You've got enough. Don't be petty. Cousins, family, friends, even people I hadn't spoken to in months, all suddenly chiming in with, how could you? It was almost impressive how fast they rallied for Hannah, how easily I became the bad guy. Not one had stood up for me when I was sidelined at Thanksgiving. Not one asked how I was. But when Hannah's tuition vanished, it was a crisis. I didn't reply, just let the text stack up unread. Around midnight, Mom called again. I answered this time. Let me guess, I said, voice deadpan. You've held a family summit to save me from myself. Riley, this isn't funny. No, I said, it's sad. She gasped. How dare you? How dare I? I cut in, laughing sharply. Where were you all when I was working weekends, pulling doubles, giving up everything for Hannah? Where were you when she hid me from her friends, when she made it clear my job, my life wasn't good enough? Silence. It's not like that. It's exactly like that, Mom. And I'm crystal clear. I'm done. Hannah's on her own. I hung up, meaning every syllable. But Hannah wasn't ready to let go. It started subtly, odd glances from acquaintances, hesitations and chats. I told myself I was paranoid until one afternoon at work. Helping Mrs. Peterson, a resident I'd cared for since she arrived, she fixed me with a pointed stare. I never thought you'd turn your back on your sister, Riley. I froze, clipboard in hand. Excuse me. Family looks after each other, she said, her tone clipped, echoing the chorus I'd heard for weeks. I didn't think you'd abandon blood. There was. I forced a tight smile. Guess it depends on whose story you heard. She said nothing more and I didn't explain. In my car I pulled out my phone and opened social media. There was. Hannah had been busy. Her posts were sly, carefully worded to paint her as the wronged party without naming me. Some people choose cash over kin. So sad. I always believed in lifting up siblings. Guess not everyone agrees. Comments poured in. Can't believe your family did this. You deserve better, babe. Stay strong, sweetie. I scrolled, stomach twisting. Familiar names, distant kin, old friends, even folks who'd ignored me post-Thanksgiving, now lined up to console her like she was a martyr. My phone rang. Aunt, uncle, mom. I muted them all. I knew their script. Days ago I was family. Now I was the enemy. All because I stopped being the quiet ATM. I tossed my phone aside and started the car. Enough. I wasn't letting her control the narrative anymore. I drove to Hannah's apartment unannounced and pounded on the door. She opened it, phone in hand, eyes widening briefly before she masked it with a cool, Riley. What brings you here? I brushed past her. She scoffed, closing the door. Well, don't be shy, come right in. I turned, jaw tight. What the hell are you doing? She blinked, feigning confusion. I don't know what you mean. I held up my phone, showing her latest post. No, because this sure looks like you're painting me as some cruel monster. Her lips curved into a smirk. I'm just sharing the truth. My grip tightened. The truth? The truth is I funded your tuition for years while you acted like I didn't exist. I gave you everything and you still looked down on me. She crossed her arms. And now you're mad because people see you for what you are. I stepped closer, voice low. No, Hannah, you should be mad, because this little tale you're spinning? It won't end how you think. Her smirk wavered. Oh, please, she scoffed. You think people will turn against me? I've got friends, connections. What do you have? You clean up after old folks. You think that makes you important. My jaw clenched, but I didn't flinch. I smiled. Go ahead, Hannah. Keep lying, keep playing the victim. Because when this collapses, I won't be there to catch you. What she didn't see was her world already fraying. She'd built her life on my money, my sacrifices, my silence. Now that I'd pulled away, it was crumbling, and she had only herself to blame. Mason felt it first, not from gossip but instinct. Something nagged at him. Hannah's evasions, her vague answers about money. One night, alone, he opened his laptop, logged into the university portal with details she'd once let slip, and after a few tries and a fake call as her, he saw it. No payments from her parents, just a long trail of transactions from someone now gone, Riley Whitaker. That night, Hannah arrived at his place expecting a cozy date. Instead, Mason stood by the door, arms crossed, phone in hand, face unreadable. Why'd I have to hear from someone else that Riley's been paying your tuition? Hannah froze. What? Mason stepped aside, letting her in, but the warmth was dead. I called the school, he said, shutting the door. Wanted to help with your tuition since you were so stressed. Guess my shock when they said you had no payment plan, because someone else covered it all. Hannah stammered, swallowing hard. Mason, it's not a big deal. His voice sharpened. You lied. You let me think your parents had it handled when someone else was carrying you. She reached for his hand, voice soft and practiced. I didn't want you to think I was a charity case. He pulled back. Don't. You were fine letting someone else hold you up. And now that they're done, you're trashing them. I can't believe I missed it, Mason said, laughing without joy, running a hand through his hair. I don't even know you anymore. Her chest tightened. Mason, he exhaled, meeting her eyes. You should go. Stunned, she stared. You're breaking up with me? I can't be with someone who lies that smoothly. The words hit hard, cracking something in her. She turned to leave, hoping he'd call her back. He didn't. The next morning was worse. She hadn't slept, eyes swollen from tears, clutching her phone for a message from Mason that never came. But another alert did. Final warning. Tuition payment past due. Her pulse raced. Dear Hannah Whitaker, this is your final notice. If payment isn't received within 48 hours, your enrollment will be cancelled. She bolted up, hands trembling. The portal confirmed it. No payments, no extensions. Panic set in. Alone, she tried loans, entered her parents' info. Denied, bad credit. Another lender. Denied. Her fists balled up. This wasn't her life's plan. She called Mason, voicemail. Again voicemail. She scrolled to my name, hesitated, called. User has blocked you. She was out of moves, truly alone. And as always, Hannah lashed out. I was in a staff meeting when my office door flew open, glass rattling. Everyone froze, eyes on Hannah. Hair a mess, eyes red, fury blazing. You ruined my life, she screamed. I set down my clipboard and sighed. Here we go. No, I said evenly. I stopped paying for it. You ruined it yourself. The room went silent. Staff paused, clients in the waiting area glanced over. But Hannah didn't care. She was here to punish me. You abandoned me, she yelled, stepping closer. You left me with nothing. How could you do that to your sister? I crossed my arms, leaning on the desk. Funny, I don't recall you calling me your sister when you lied to your boyfriend about your tuition. Her jaw tightened. That's different. Is it? I tilted my head. Because it feels like I only matter when you need something. Her eyes flicked around, seeking allies. No one spoke. So she shifted tactics, chin up, voice louder. She abandoned her family. She's selfish. She only cares about herself. She's not who you think. Her words lingered, but no one jumped to her defense. No outrage, just quiet recognition from those who'd seen the truth. Then Harry, my senior employee, stepped forward from the corner. Ma'am, he said, calm but firm, you need to leave. Hannah spun. Excuse me. This is a workplace, he said, unfazed. You're disrupting it. I'm her sister, she shouted. Harry didn't blink. And this is her business. You're trespassing. Her voice broke. You don't get it, she's leaving me with nothing. She's destroying my future. Harry stayed steady. No, ma'am. She just stopped letting you use her. I shook my head, meeting her gaze. She stood there, chest heaving, face red with rage and shame. No one spoke. Then, without another word, she turned and stormed out, door slamming behind her. I thought that was it. I was wrong. A client in the waiting area that day, a young woman visiting her grandma, filmed it all. The video, under 2 minutes, caught everything. Hannah's screams, her accusations, my calm responses, Harry's intervention. By morning she'd posted it on Facebook. Sister gets screamed at in her workplace by entitled sibling, but the older employee's response, iconic. No one expected it to blow up, but within 48 hours, it had millions of views, thousands of shares and countless comments. The internet raged at Hannah, moved by my quiet strength. People dug up her old posts, vague cries of betrayal, and paired with the video the truth shone through. Hannah wasn't the victim. She lost friends, professors pulled away, internships dried up. She dropped out, moving back to our parents' small, embarrassing house, the only place left for her. She vanished from social media soon after. For me, life settled. The year's end was busy but calm. No pretending, no guilt, no justifying myself to people who never listened. On December 23rd, as I tidied the office, my phone pinged. Mom, Merry Christmas. We miss you. Can we talk? I paused. A year ago I'd have rushed to reply to fix it. Now I just exhaled, set the phone down and kept wiping the glass door. I didn't delete it, didn't answer. Just let it sit. Not every apology earns a response. On Christmas night I sat by my fireplace, surrounded by true love, coworkers, old friends, and the daughter of a woman I'd once cared for at the home. Though her mom passed years ago, she stayed close like family. We raised glasses, laughed over stories, and for the first time in ages, I felt fully, unapologetically at peace. That night I realized something profound. Family isn't where you're from, it's where you're wanted. Choosing myself had never felt so right. Have you ever been judged for your job like Riley was for working at a nursing home? If so, drop a 1, if not, a 0. Sometimes the deepest cuts come not from harsh words but from the silent rejection of those we call kin. Riley didn't aim to be a victim or hero. She just stopped playing a part others forced on her. This tale isn't here to dictate how to live or claim walking away is the only path. It simply murmurs a quiet truth. Knowing when to step back can be its own strength. Learning to love yourself, to draw lines, that's a lesson most of us face someday. And if you're at that crossroads now, let Riley's story remind you, you're not alone.